Good morning again. So we said the states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, definite shape and definite volume. Liquid, definite volume, and here nothing. Gas, no definite shape, no definite volume. So solids, definite shape and definite volume. Liquids, only definite volume. It takes the shape of its container. Here it takes all of the space in its container, and we can change the volume also. Now, why solids cannot change the shape, or why solids have definite shape and definite volume? To know why solids or liquids or gases have these properties, you have to know the small components of each one. We learned, and we said before, the small components, we call it atoms, okay, or particles. So let's see the particles in a solid state. The particles in a solid state like this. So the particles in solids very close to each other. So the particles very close to each other. So the bonds between particles very strong. They vibrate, they move like this. So and the particles in solids move only like this. So no spaces, and they are very close to each other. Why solids have definite shape and definite volume? Because the particles very close to each other. So it's hard to change the shape. To change the shape, you have to add energy, and energy means heat. When you add energy, you'll increase the kinetic energy of these particles. So by increasing the kinetic energy of these particles, the movement of these particles will increase. So they'll break the bonds between particles, then they'll change into liquid. Now let's see the particles of liquids. And we know the particles in solids, we said they are very close to each other. They have strong bonds. The particles in liquids appear like this. The particles in liquids appear like this. So they are further than the particles in solids, and they can slide. They can slide on each other. They can slide, so that we can change the shape of liquids. Why? Because the particles further than solids, and they can slide to each other. So the particles in liquids slide to each other. Okay, so liquids have definite volume but not definite shape. It takes the shape of its container. If you put a water in a glass, it will take the shape of the glass. If you put it in a plate, it will take the shape of this plate. The last state of matter about gases. The particles in gases appear like this. So the particles very far, and the bonds is weak. So the bonds between particles are weak, and these particles so far to each other, so we can change it. We have spaces here, so we can squeeze and change the volume also. So gases don't have definite shape and don't have definite volume. Why? Because the particles very far apart, and the bonds are weak. So here they have what we call it freely movement. They don't have bonds, or the bonds are weak. Okay, so why solids have definite shape and definite volume? Because the particles very close to each other, or we call it rigid. Liquids, the particles slide to each other, so they have only definite volume but not definite shape. It takes the shape of its container. And gases, what? Gases, the particles are very far, the bonds are weak, or they have freely movement, so we can change the volume and the shape of gases. And we said the smallest component of water or matter in general, we call it particles or atoms. Have a nice day and see you next video, inshallah.